Hey everybody, it's me again, Russ Shaw, with another dash cam session. Excuse me, my throat's a little raw. Trying to find my lost greyhound yesterday and the day before. Found her, so that's good news. Wanted to talk about the why and hows, right? I have received some emails recently from some listeners to the ASI podcast. If you're listening to this on video, you may not know I do a podcast called Attitudes of Sexual Integrity for sexual addicts, people with unwanted sexual behaviors. And it's at, again, asi247.org. Emails recently on how, right? Like, I'm stuck. I hate being stuck, and I get that, man. I was there for many years. I hate being stuck. How do you stop? How do you stop this work? Give me something to do, right? And I get that, and I respect that. That's a cool approach, but there's a deeper thing going on, right? And you need to get to the why before the how. And I'm talking about that in a lot of these season 2 shows, trying to get through, identity, who you are, time, right, where you exist in time in your life, and how you define certain words that dictate your decision making, really. So season 2 is about that, and I'm talking a lot about the whys, right? And then getting into the hows is another thing. I wanted to talk about kind of a cool emotional word picture for this is the situation that I had with our dog, right? My daughter moved back in with us for a while. She was with roommates, and that didn't work out so well, so she's moved back in with us, saving up some money, and gonna look at buying her own place, which would be cool. But she took our little dog, our greyhound, for a walk, and it was a big off-leash park, right? And area where I live, you drive to it, it's like acres of off-leash, dog wonderland. It removed the leash. And we got this little greyhound, and she just loves to run in the backyard. She'll just tear around like crazy. So we thought it'd be cool to let her run in a place like that, take the leash off her. And so that's what my daughter did. She took her out on Wednesday, let her run, took the leash off, and boom, that little dog ran like crazy, right? And the little dog runs about 40 miles an hour. So she ran all right, and she got lost. Right? She's just gone. And the guys are like, well, it's all fenced in, but she must have jumped the fence or something. The fence is only about 4 feet high. She was gone. My daughter looked for hours, couldn't find her. I went out there, and I got home from work a little early and started hanging flyers out there and, putting out, hey, give us a call, little dog's lost, right? So 24 hours later, I'm out there giving flyers to vet clinics that are in the area because she had a chip, right? One of those chips in case you lose your dog. And I'm giving them to vet clinics going, hey, if you find this little dog, return her to me, because I don't know if the chip information is up to date or accurate. So while I'm out there, a guy calls and says, hey, I saw your little dog out here about 15 minutes ago. He's like, I tried to catch her, but I'm in a wheelchair, he said, and she ran off. So I ran down to his, he gave me the address where it was at, and I ran out to his place, and sure enough, there she was right there in his neighborhood running around, and I caught her. And at first, she didn't know what to think of me, right? She's like looking at me and kind of scared, didn't recognize me, didn't know who I was. And there were some other people, and they came up and tried to catch her and stuff, and she took off, darted off running. So I followed her down the street a little bit, and I'm like, here, come here, greyhound. I got out, and she finally heard my voice and saw me, and when she realized it was me, like I had some food in my hand too, I'm trying to attract her with the food. And when she finally realized it was me, she got all excited and started whining and, you know, wagging her tail, but still kind of scared and just tired and exhausted from running all night. She didn't even want the food I had at first until I got her in the van here, and then she was like, you know, chowed down on a little piece of sandwich I had. And I got her in the car, and she was just so happy to be found, right? And that's kind of like addiction, you know? Impulse control, there's psychologists who wrote this stuff about impulse control and the scale of needs, right? Like, we all have human needs and human desires. And what can happen with the sexual addicts especially is we will have this need or desire, and that'll overtake our ability to look ahead in time, to think about what's going to happen down the road, right? Like my little greyhound, she gets out there, my daughter takes a leash off her, and she's like, boom, I'm free, right? Her definition of freedom is run, man, just dart off, just do what you want, and that's great, but she didn't have enough, right, control of her impulse, her needs to have a good thought life about what's going to happen down the road if she just takes off and runs like she does. See, I'm not a guy who says that you should choke down your desires. You know, like there's a lot of Buddhist teaching and Eastern philosophy that says that desires are bad, and if we can just, you know, hit the eject button on desires and not desire anything, our lives will go better. And I think that's boring, to be honest with you. I want to run. I want to run fast. I want to be like that little greyhound. Get out and boom, dart, run around. Like, that's what she's built for. She's built for speed. Greyhound is like a Corvette of the dogs, right? So it's not that we're supposed to not desire, but it's that we're supposed to chase deeper desires. And it's like, you know, I wonder next time we get her out someplace, take the leash off her, if she's going to run off like that, or did she learn her lesson? You know, I don't know. But I realized I saw some of me in that little dog when I found her. I saw some of me in that little dog when I saw her at first, and she ran away from me, you know? Some of you guys have been lied to by religious people who think, you know, have told you the lie that God will love you if, you know? God will love you if you're a good person and a good boy or good girl and you do everything right, and then God will love you. And if you do something bad, like run off like that greyhound did, God is somehow mad at you, and he's going to, you know, take out his wrath on you. Man, I was so happy to see that little dog. I actually shed some tears, you know? And when she came up to me and she was happy, and she, you know, I got her in the car and she was like tired, exhausted, hurting from running so much. The little pads on her feet are all chewed up from running all night. She was just exhausted. And that's kind of our relationship with God, you know? Somebody tells you this news about who Jesus is, and it takes a while for you to go, all right, you know, you investigate a little on your own, and you get some more knowledge, and you learn some more news, and you start to pray, and you start to build this relationship with God, and you realize that he loves you, and he just wants good for you, right? Pull you closer. Pull you into where, you know, he can bring you home. I mean, that's what he wants. So, my challenge for you, my fellow greyhounds listening or watching this, is to realize your impulse control and to realize deeper desires, and a challenge for you, which is to go 2 weeks without an orgasm, all right? Now, this is not some kind of diet I'm putting you on to control your urges or appetite. Excuse me, that's another thing. I was calling out for this little dog all night long, and my voice is shot. Like I'm out in this park, big acres, I'm yelling, you know, Bella Greyhound for hours. Just my voice box is hurt, you know? Trying to call out for this little dog. And you know, that's part of the gospel too. God is shouting out this message, heralding news, Christian heralding news, you know, the good news. Religious people playing interference with that a little bit, where we have a hard time trusting, but man, that's part of why my voice is shot, right? I'm calling out that little dog, where are you? I lost you, you know? So, a challenge for you in getting some of this impulse control under wraps, and a discipline that I want to challenge you with is 2 weeks. Let's try 2 weeks without an orgasm. Married guys, single guys, you know, single guys is a little different from you. I'm not one of these purity guys that says that you should just never masturbate. I think that there are, again, it's impulse control. I don't think you should be lusting after other women when you do it. There's nothing in the Bible that says you can't masturbate. I really don't see a whole lot of good for it. Yes, there is a biological chemical thing in you where you can have a wet dream, and that does release that, all right? But, you know, 2 weeks is a good start. And if you do, you know, thinking about how that plays out is different. But for you married guys, ask your wives, talk to them about this, that I'm going to challenge you to 2 weeks. 2 weeks without coming, all right? 2 weeks without an orgasm, whether it's with your wife or by yourself. The goal is for married guys not to masturbate at all. But, you know, if your wife has asking her to pray about that for 2 weeks, that you would fast sexually. That's good for you. And it's also a way to keep your lusts, right, to exercise self-control, you know. And I'll talk about some of the disciplines on how to do that in the next upload here. But start, right? Mark a calendar. 2 weeks. We're going to start today, at least. I just went a lot of weeks. My wife was out of town. It was crazy. And I had another thing stir in me to really realize that, you know, I'm still fighting. I still have thoughts pop into my head. I still have had temptations, and there was times I was fighting my flesh, you know, in my heart, and in my desires, and in what my eyes would run to sometimes and want to feast on. And I'm just not that person anymore. So I'm challenging you with that as well. To not be that person. To take the 2 week challenge, at least, right? Start. Mark a calendar. The Olympics are here right now, right? This is more of an analogy to this running, you know? You're racing. These guys are racing for some medal. Back in biblical times, they'd get this like wreath, flowery wreath that would fade away quick. A medal is going to get forgotten about 3 years later. You're not going to know who won the, you know, men's track triathlon. I mean, the race that we're running, the goal that you have set out for you is a way to love deeper, right? To chase deeper desires, to lay a foundation, a biblical, right, a plausible definition of love that carries out a ripple effect that will affect not just your children, but your grandchildren and your children's children. You take on this challenge, all right? I pray that you take on this challenge to chase deeper desires. To not run away from your Father when He's calling for you, right? When your desires want you to just run. Man, I pray that this challenge, this discipline gets in your heart, and you just carry it out. We start today. Mark your calendar. This is a discipline I'm asking you to do later. Bye.